Dali lang. Lugaw. Sige. It's already 6:44. So I'm just gonna be slowly so I think no you've already read hopefully what I posted no na apel tong borrowing cost di ba katong gihatag na kong handouts for borrowing cost ang katong 6748 no it also includes the handout for land and building. So we can use that. But let us start first with the basic concept, no? Like mga theory questions lang sa before we move over to land and building. So next week na lang to mag-discuss thoroughly. Balik ko na po gyapon ni siya ang concept of land and building when I'm going to be discussing with machinery, capital expenditure, and revenue expenditure. So next week, or the week after next week, yes, happy na ta, pwede na ta maka-quiz sa Phil 124. Happy dyan daw. Yeah, so the week after next week, it will be our scheduled date for the exam of Phil 124. Now, again, no, for those who wasn't able to catch up, we have a quiz this Thursday. No, nag-post ko kung unsay breakdown. Wala ganito, it's 40 items or 50 items, kalimot ko. Basta, na-post na akong breakdowns. I think it's 40 questions, pero 50 in total. 30 ang theories, 10 ang problems, but 2 points each. Yeah, for exam, again guys, I'm sorry I don't have control of the exam dates. It will be on Monday, but if ako magbuot, it will better if Thursday siya. Because honestly, I don't want to I want the exams to occur at a non-class day or non-class hours kay aron ma-maximize na to atong discussion rather than assessments, blah blah blah. Anyway, let's start with this topic, land and building. So again, backgrounder. So land and building, guys. Kung ano na to siya, these two are what we call real properties. And again, guys, land as well as building, no? Mga ano ni sila, guys, mga ano ni sila, mga separate classes, no? Separate ni sila nga classes of PPE. So na sila special na chapter or special na discussion because no, we have what we call, and I've typed it in the chat box, we have what we call the PIC Q&A, PIC Q&A 2012-2, which talks about land and building, or the acquisition or purchase of land and building, no, for a single amount. Now, sige, later na lang. Now also, because of how unique land is and how unique building is. Now, building comes with it, no, lots of costs related, no. Building also can be acquired not only through purchase but usually through construction. So when we discuss building, we will also be discussing the costs of constructing a building, no? But of course, land, no? Land are not constructed, but usually if we're going to be purchasing a building, nadyo na siya naka-attach sa land, di ba? Asa mga kakita ang building nga wala naka-attach sa land. So usually these two are discussed and bundled together. So kailangan nato sila i-differentiate because we need to know what cost no na dapat i-assign nato sa land and unsa nga cost ang dapat i-assign nato sa building. Kay kung mapalit ta og land in building, ang mga cost nila nga lahi-lahi, no? Kailangan nato i-identify as accountants because these two are classified separately as PPA. PPA ni sila duha pero lahi-lahi sila classification. Kailangan sila i-separate na classification because land is non-depreciable and building is depreciable. Non-depreciable and building is depreciable. So first, no, actually these are the slides here are all theory questions. Okay, so first question, the cost of land usually includes all except. Okay. So natay first, commission related to acquisition, no? Property tax after date of acquisition, property tax to date or from before acquisition to date of acquisition, and cost of survey. So question here, so what are capitalizable costs here or what is not included except no? So the answer here no would be, so another, this is something that you should remember is that if it is or if we are paying for property taxes no related to or we are paying for taxes related to property taxes after date of acquisition, no, these are not capitalized. Actually, property taxes after date of acquisition are expensed. Ato na siya gina-expense. Makamute ba ko? Wala. The one. Okay. So, why is it important for us to know this one? Because of letter C, guys. Di ba? Refresh. Di ba? Cost of PPE. Di ba natin tulo ka elements? We have purchase cost or purchase price. Cost of purchase. We have directly attributable costs. And we have estimated cost of dismantling the asset, no? This property tax up to date of acquisition or before acquisition, which gibayra nato, is part of what we call directly attributable cost. Now, this one is actually, no? Sorry, wrong. This one is actually part of our purchase price. Sorry. So nahibong na ano ra ani na ano lang siya ani kay murag ano ni siya. So ang kaninga tax murag na part ni siya sa ato ang price to acquire the said property. No? However, di ba ang usual nato nga treatment for taxes no are expense, di ba? Income tax expense, unsa pa? Real property tax expense like this one. So these actually those are expense usually. Makapitalize lang nato siya if it pertains to tax which has not been paid by the previous owner but was paid by us no because nag-transfer ta og ownership. So answer here is letter B. Again, so cost of survey and commissions related to acquisition, these are called directly attributable cost, no? Survey kay sa tawag ana. Di ba kung magpalit og land, gina-survey na siya nimo no to know the condition of the land, no, and to know the value of the land. Tan-awon nimo, ipa-survey nimo kung unsa siya kadako, kung unsay quality sa soil, unsay ano sa area, blah blah blah. So mga siyang survey. Na commission related to acquisition, so of course na kay ginapangbayaran na mga lawyers, attorney, mga brokers and dealers. So those payments to them are directly attributable. Now, those are avoidable costs which would not have been incurred had you not acquired the land. So, expense siya ang property tax. Okay, so, yun na may vlog. So, here are the list of expenditures. Now, I'll be sharing this one, which are normally capitalized as cost of the land. So, we have first, the purchase price, of course. Second, legal fees for establishing the clean title, broker commission, escrow fees, transfer of title and registration, relocation or reconstruction of property belonging to others in order to acquire possession, mortgages, encumbrances, and interest on such mortgage assumed by the buyer. Kani ang duha, actually, kaning tulo, no? Please ko guys familiarize on this one, on these three. Kani pod. And kani. Sige. I-highlight na ko. Okay. Sige. Capitalized, meaning i-part na to siya sa cost sa land, no? If we paid for relocation or reconstruction of property belonging to others. So, di ba? Sa example, ani. So, kung nipalita og land, nya wala ta kahibaw nga ang gipalit na to nga land, no, na ay mga squatter. So kung naay mga squatter, di ba, ato siya in murag it's common courtesy for us to relocate, no, and reconstruct, no, the property belonging to them. So if we have costs related to the relocation or construction to that, no, that is considered as a directly attributable cost because those costs would are costs, no, which would not have been incurred, no, if wala na to acquire ang land. Another thing, no, mga liability. Unsay pasabot sa mortgages, guys? Mortgages are loans, no? Loans which attaches to it, no, the property. So ang example ana kay land. So kung nakay land niya, ang land imo siyang gihimo as collateral for a certain loan. So if gibaliga nimo ang land niya, di ba gibaliga nimo ang land niya, gi-appeal nimo ang pagbayad sa loan or sa nga mortgage or gihimo ang land as collateral niya, ang nag-take over sa liability kay si buyer. So, ma-part na siya sa cost ni buyer ang liability nga gi-assume niya or gi-take over niya because he purchased the land. So, mortgages, encumbrances, and interest on such mortgages no nga gi-assume nimo as the buyer. So, another thing, this one is in the question, previous question, unpaid taxes. So, this one, guys, actually, the way for you guys to master and memorize everything here is through practice. So with that, give me a while. I'm going to be uploading a handout para na amoy mapraktisan. Like right now. Aron, di ko kalimot og upload. For a while, guys, ha? Okay, sige. All right, guys. Again, guys, the way or the only way for you guys to master um these many things to memorize handouts for a while. Handouts for PPE is through practice, and you practice that, no, using, or you master it through practice. So na-upload na ako ang for property, plant and equipment costs, no, for both classrooms. So I uploaded it right now. Aron magamit ninyo. Wala lagi ni siya. Wait. Okay. All right. Uploaded the handouts for PPE. So please master this one. No, I'm not gonna be discussing this one in detail. So ako na lang basahon, no? Survey, payments to tenants. So similar lang gyapon siya sa cost of relocation, no? If there are, but in this one kay tenants, meaning kung mag-ingon tag tenants, nag-rent sila, no, to induce them to vacate the land. No, if na ay mga nag-aabang sa land nya, di sila ganahan nga muhawa kay nag-change of ownership. So kung na kay payment nga gihatag nila, no, to induce them to vacate the land, so those are still considered as part of capitalizable cost of the land. So another item here are cost of permanent improvements, such as cost of clearing, grading, leveling, and landfill. So later on, actually, guys, is we are going to be discussing. So next meeting na lang, no, because I want it to be discussed together with machinery and capitalizable and capitalized and revenue capital and revenue expenditure, no, kaning what we call land improvements, no. So land improvements are not land but a separate classification of PPE. So another ano is cost of option to buy the acquire the land. Okay. So kani guys, option. Guys, paliw ko guys, take note. If naay option to buy, capitalizable lang siya if na-acquire nato ang land. However, if wala nato na-acquire ang land, the option is expensed immediately. Okay. So actually, this is one of the most important thing na makalimtan and commonly makalimtan sa mga students is the option. Again, if option to buy the land, capitalizable lang siya if we actually acquire the land. However, if the land is not acquired, the option is expensed immediately, meaning i-loss na to siya. Okay. So di ba kung mag-ingon tag option, not to simplify the definition of an option, so we may or may not acquire something, or we may or may not exercise the option. So if we did exercise the option, we capitalize it to acquire the land, or to the land. If we did not exercise the option and wala na to na-acquire ang land, it should be expensed immediately. Because actually, wala tay capitalize. Kung naman tayo land nga na-acquire. Okay, so another. Sige. Next is cost of land typically include. So another extension, so grading, filling, draining, and clearing cost now was mentioned in the prior slide. Special assessment for drainage system was also mentioned. Assumption of any lien on the property, basically assumption on mortgages like ani. Kaning letter D is assumption of any lien on the property kay same lang siya meaning sa mortgages, encumbrances, and interest on such mortgages assumed by the buyer. So, answer here is letter C. Okay, what is letter C? Okay, letter C actually, no? Again, the A, B, and C are all cost of land. And letter C is not a cost of land, kaning private driveway and parking lot. So, ang tawag ani actually is what we call land improvements. Land improvements. Wala pa to sa PQ&A guys ha. Land improvements. So land improvements, no, ang land improvements is another kind or another class of PPE. It's a PPE class. So usually land improvements, no, in contrast with land, these are depreciable. Of course guys, no, kaning mga parking lots, kaning mga private driveway, no, mga dan o kanang mga parking lot, di ba ang parking lot kinahanglan gisemento, diputangan nimo mga signages, diputangan nimo mga di ko sure kung sa tawag ano mga parts sa parking lot basta kanang mga semento o kanang mga basta improvement on the parking lot. So, di ba na sa ano sila naga-depreciate sila, di ba? Kay semento man siya, nya na siya mga pintal-pintal. In contrast with the land which appreciates. So there is an importance for us to separate it. So ang pag-separate nato na or ang separate item no which talks about or which includes the private driveway and parking lot, no, these are what we call land improvements, PPE class. Another example of land improvement guys kay kanang mga street lamps or mga shrubberies and mga trees blah blah blah. Now those are land improvements yapon under PPE, but it's a separate classification and should not be included in land classification. Fences, another example of land improvements like are fences, no? Parking lot also are land improvements. Okay. Another, which should be capitalized as cost of land. Okay. So actually, no, we haven't talked about building yet. So letter A, filling in dirt to level the property prior to excavation, no? Excavation costs. And wala lagi ni siya. Ano sa answer ni letter D? Letter A. Okay. Sige, correct. Okay, delete siya all of these. Okay. Actually, sorry. Cost of filling. Sorry ha. Sorry. Picture na akong first gitan next site. Filling. So filling is part of the cost of land. As atong cost of filling, kana clearing, cost of grading, leveling, and filling, land filling. Kana filling. So filling in dirt to level the property prior to excavation. No, this is cost of land. Kaning excavation costs and excavation cost, this is building. Sidewalk and fence are land improvement. Sorry, building improvement. Okay, so land improvements. Okay. Now in the next page here, we laid out are the costs of building, no? If the building is acquired through purchase. So kung ipalit ang building. Okay, for a while. Pinapa-highlight. Kung i-purchase nato or gipalit nato ang building, of course, part of our capitalized cost is the purchase price for the building. Another one is legal fees, no, in connection with the purchase. This is a directly attributable costs. Similar with land, diba, buildings are also subject to property taxes. So if there is unpaid property taxes related to the buildings which was paid by the buyer, no, because you purchased the building or the buyer purchased the building, this one is also capitalized as part of the building. Similarly, no, sa land, no, building man pod can be used as a collateral, no, can be mortgaged, no, and if the buyer assumed the mortgage, like the interests, the liens, and other encumbrances, no, those are also included as part of the cost of building. Another, payments to tenants to induce them, same nagyapon with land, no, but this time to vacate the building, not to vacate the land. So any renovating or remodeling cost incurred to put the building purchased in a condition suitable for intended use. So if you have any renovation costs, if you have any remodeling cost, no, for this purchased building, you should also capitalize it. Okay, so another, no, if the building is constructed this time, don't worry guys, I will be discussing constructed building next week again. Actually, I'm going to be discussing this topic again next week in conjunction now this time with machinery and revenue and capital expenditures. Okay, kung mo mag-construct ta og building guys, of course, the materials sa pag-construct sa building, mga materials, semento, iron, kanang mga kabilya, mga nails, blah blah blah, no, materials, ang labor, no, kanang mga employees o kanang mga nagka-construct sa building, overhead such as mga costs of the payment to the contractors, unsa pa, payments for rent bay if nagrent, let's say for example nagrent ka og kanang cement truck, so that's an example of an overhead. Also building permits or licenses, di ba, kung magbuild ka og building, kailangan ka building permit. Architect fee, no, payment for the architect as well as the engineer. Superintendent fee, cost of excavation, so that's why this one, di ba, excavation cost, I put here cost of the building. So this is specifically, now that's one. So aron di na ka mo mag-ingon ka cost of excavation, building dun na siya immediately. Ako kay nagdali-dali ko, nagbasa lang ko excavation, ana na ko building. Pero now day feeling day siya. Letter F, cost of temporary building used, no? So another thing is maghimo ka temporary building use as construction office and shed for tools and materials, no? That's also considered as overhead or part of the cost of the building. Anong borrowing cost, no, we discussed this already, di ba? Last, bago lang taka-discuss borrowing cost, di ba? Kung mag-build ta og building, di ba? Kung building is constructed, so usually that is a qualifying asset. And if natin na-incur nga borrowing cost related to this building, which is a qualifying asset, no, we need to capitalize. So that's also part of the cost of construction of buildings. Nanatay na connect, no, ang building and borrowing costs. Letter H, expenditures for service equipment and fixtures made a permanent part of the structure. So kanang mga sige. For service equipment, like service equipment, example ani kay elevators, no? So elevators are permanently attached to building. So mga elevators, actually they are included as cost of the building. So it's not a separate asset. No? Another thing, mga fixtures nga na-attach jud siya sa building, say for example, sa example na natin sa building a fixture kay, o say for example ang aircon sa building. So kung ang aircon kay permanent na-attach siya permanently sa building, sample lang ha, hindi ko sure kung ano na siya. Usually ma-remove mo ng aircon. Pero say for example, ayaw na lang kay ang aircon ma-remove man god. Unsa man, anang cabinet be nga dili jud siya mairog na ano jud siya na stick jud siya, gisemento siya, gi-nail siya sa building. So more or less that's made permanent. So therefore, that is included as as a cost to construct the building. Now, this is very important guys ha. Ang letter H, important this letter H because sometimes fixtures, may ingon tag fixtures, if dili siya permanently made part of the building, it is a separate classification of PPE. Di ba we have furnitures and fixtures? So kung bisag na siya sulod sa building nga i-construct nato, pero ma-remove lang siya, dili siya permanently part of the building. Let's say for example kanang sofa, kanang mga tables sa building, those are fixtures also, but they are not permanently part of the building. They can be removed. So those are not part of the building, but those are furnitures and fixtures, a separate class of PPE. Another thing is cost of temporary safety fence around construction site and cost of subsequent removal thereof. So, however, the construction of a permanent fence, so kung temporary fence, capitalized, and if temporary fence siya, depende. If permanent fence, no, that is part of land improvements. Actually, depende po. If permanent fence siya guys, na part siya sa blueprint, mga driveway also, no, usually pwede sila land improvement. Pero if na part siya as, no, if part of the building plans, meaning na nasa blueprint sa building, pwede siya na dili land improvement but pwede nato siya mibo as part of the building also. So medyo ano siya. This is one of the gray areas also. Sige. Again guys, tandaan na lang guys, if like mga driveways, parking lots, and mga fences, if part sila sa building plans, building sila or part sila sa blueprint. So another thing is safety inspection fees no are part of the cost of the building. Okay. So that's building. So another thing to continue, land improvements, clearing of trees and grading. So this is which should be part of clearing. Installation of septic system. Dilin siya land anyway. Sige. All right, sorry. Clearing, grading, and landfill, no, sorry, is part of cost of land. Architect fee is cost of building. This is land. This is building. And cost of demolishing old building actually can be part of land or building. Depende kung unsa ang purpose nimo. Sige ha. A is clearing and grading, that's land. Now, if we revisit here, cost of land. So, asa diri ang clearing? Clearing, grading, leveling, and filling or landfill. Clearing and grading, land. Architect, building. Cost of demolishing old building, again, could be part of land or could be part of building. Okay, sige. So, here, no, land improvement is installation of a septic system. Sige. Going back, no, So to the other material that I sent. Okay. So this one actually talks about hapit ng time, guys. Is it okay to have, sorry ha, karon ako nakabasa. Sir, is it okay to have a special class in Wednesday and Thursday? Ano sana siya? Next week? I can't take the exam in Monday. I'm still province, blah, 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 until, blah, blah. Okay. Nga nung naaka sa province pa, may I know? Pwede lang din mo i-PM sa ko sa Facebook. Or yeah, email or something. Depende. O pwede, Facebook. I can't take, okay, nganong na exam week man ta. Until po, and my other exam in next month, I'll take po this Friday po. Wednesday or Friday. Wednesday. Ugma. Ano ba? Next week. Okay. Sige. Okay, fine. Sige. All right.